One of the most important keys to any quality woodworking project is accurate measurement. Now, we all know that there are a variety of tools and methods out there, but I've compiled a list of some of my favorite tips, tricks, hacks, and tools to get better measurements on your woodworking projects. And a few of these I had no clue about until I stumbled on them in some old woodworking magazines that haven't seen the light of day since 1990. So number one is this tool that I found in an old woodworking magazine that you can create with a couple of scrap pieces, and you can customize it to the sizes that you need. Now, I use acrylic right here, but you can easily use a couple of thin strips of wood if you'd rather use that. This tool is used to find the dead center of a board. So let's see how it works. So to create this jig, we first need to make sure that we accurately measure. You want to make sure that the measurements are as close to center as you can get. Now, I'm placing these on either side of a board that I've jointed to 7¼ inches, and it is exactly 7¼ inches, and they are parallel, and that's key. Next, we want to start some pilot holes using a scribing tool or a center punch, and from there I'll just pre-drill my holes so they go in a little bit more accurately and evenly. And now let's place these pieces on either side of that board. Remember, that board does need to be parallel, then we're just simply going to screw it together. Now, you may have noticed that I've pre-drilled the holes into the acrylic. Again, you want to make sure that they are centered and that you accurately measure. Also, what you may not see is that exactly in the center of those screw holes, I've gone ahead and created a hole where my pencil will actually fit through. When you pull this at any angle and you tighten it on your board, what you will find is that center hole, if you have measured it evenly, is that center hole is dead center of any board that you place it on. So if you accurately need to be able to measure dead center without doing any calculations, and you've calibrated this tool correctly, you'll have it every single time. Now, let me go ahead and measure this, and to make sure that it's centered, I'm simply going to line it up on that point and then check the other side. And if I find that that ruler hits that point on both sides evenly, then guess what? We have found the exact center of that board. The cool thing about this is that it works with multiple sizes because you can pull this angle to whatever size that you need. What if you have an oddly width board that you need to split into multiple strips that are all the same length? It's actually pretty easy. All that we have to do is take any kind of tape measure and angle it to a length that is easily divisible by the number of strips that you need. Then you just simply mark each of those evenly divisible spots, and you have an accurate measurement. Now we'll just use a simple square to move those marks down to the end of our board, and we have a board that is easily measured to be split into 3 separate equally width strips. Next, let's imagine that you needed to find the exact diameter of a circle. Now, it could be a flat circle like this, or it could be something like a table leg, and that's really where this tip comes in handy. If you happen to have 2 squares in your shop, which is not that uncommon, you can easily find the exact diameter of any circle, whether it's a flat surface like this, or whether it's something like a table leg or a cylinder. All that we need to do is line up both of the ends of our square at a 90-degree angle. You'll see right here that it measures 12½ inches, but the circle starts at 1½ inches. So it measures to exactly 11 inches in diameter, which actually is the exact width of this particular circle. And what's turned into my most popular video ever, I showed you how to create this simple book holder, which has become an incredibly popular item, both for you guys to build and for me to sell. But one of the key parts of that video was not the project in itself. It was just simply how to create a perfect triangle. And so this tip shows you how to create a perfect triangle every time without any kind of advanced measurement techniques. So if you want to learn how to build perfect triangles in V's anytime, it takes no special skills, and all you need is a table saw and a couple of jigs. So for this, you're going to need to take your table saw and set it to whatever angle you want. I'm going to set mine to 30 degrees. Now, this works no matter what angle you set it at, which is the great part of this particular tip. We will need a tenon jig and a crosscut sled for this. All that we're going to do is place the wood on the tenon jig and cut our 30-degree angle right there. I'm going to go ahead and cut 2 of them just so you can see how we can put these together. And once we have that done, we're going to take the opposite end of that wood and we're going to place it on our crosscut sled. Now, this is simply just the inverse angle. So if the first one was 30 degrees, this one's going to be cut to 60 degrees. We do that with both of our pieces of wood, and lo and behold, we have 2 of the 3 sides of a triangle. If we place this on a square, you'll notice that those angles line up perfectly, and once again, that will work no matter what angle you choose to set it at. You want 45 and 45? Fine. You want 75 and 15? Fine. This will work with any angle. And once we do that, if we place both of those pieces together, we have 2 of the 3 sides of a triangle. Now all that we need to do is figure out the width of that base and then cut our final piece, and we have a perfect triangle. And for my final tip, even though I created a separate video on this, it makes sense to include it in this compilation video. What if you need to find the exact dead center of a circle? Well, you can use a tool like this, which is a center finder, but you don't have to do that. All that you need to have is a straight edge or a ruler. Now, just to recap from a previous video, I'll show you how this center circle finder works, circle center finder. All that we have to do is place our tool on a circle and then just simply mark a couple of different intersections. Now, if you have a perfect circle, this is calibrated to give you the dead center every time, and it does actually work, but you don't need to use this particular technique. You can also just use a ruler or a square and measure a set distance. Now, the distance doesn't matter, but you need to draw a line across that distance and then also mark the middle of the measurement. Since this is 9 inches, I'm going to do 4.5. Now just simply do the same thing somewhere else using the same distance or a different distance. It really doesn't matter as long as you correctly mark the center. So draw that line again, mark the center, and now we just need to use a square to draw lines through the middle of that circle. If we have at least 2 of them and they are accurately measured, that should also give us the dead center of the circle. Hey, before we go any further, don't forget that the lifeblood of this channel is subscriptions and views. So if you wouldn't mind, hit that subscription button down below if you haven't. That tells me that you enjoyed this content, helps me grow the channel, and tells YouTube that this is valuable content. And it doesn't cost you a penny. Hey, thanks for sticking around to the end. And since you're still here, make sure to check out this video right here, which shows you how to flatten cupped boards with no advanced tools. You don't even need a jointer. You can accomplish it with only a planer.